I'm going to start this video by just saying that I've never used any illicit substances in my life. I have never tried cannabis. I've never ingested THC, cocaine, heroin, any of that. None of that. I was drunk for a long time, but hard drugs, psychedelics, mushrooms, nothing, never. And here I am today learning about DMT. Well, hey there, how are you? And hope that wherever you are in the world, that you and yours are safe and healthy. I'm on the topic of a chemical substance called D, as in David, M as in Mary, T as in Tom, DMT, a powerful psychedelic. I invite you to educate me if you know more about this than I do. Have you had any direct experience with this substance? Or do you know someone who does? Or do you just know more about it? I welcome your knowledge and opinions in the comments. In passing, I heard of DMT through one of my older sons, one of my adult sons, who was kind of talking about it at one point last year in the context of drugs, basically, and assured me that he had never tried such a thing and that it was super crazy, super illegal, and that it was basically, from what I understood at the time, super psychedelic mushrooms. It's the way he put it, and that the idea of what you experience on DMT takes the idea of magic mushrooms to a whole new level and a whole new stream of consciousness and whatever. And that supposedly that's why it's so banned, because it's so strong and it just blasts you out of your mind. Okay. Well, I didn't really give it another thought until kind of a confluence of two different things happened at once here. First of all, an article happened to come across my news feed about DMT in the clinical research sort of setting. And then a good friend of mine, a content creator friend at work by the name of Caleb, also mentioned DMT in a conversation we had today. So I want to understand a little bit more about it. Now, on the clinical side, the article and basically was talking about some researchers in, I believe it was Spain, that actually did some work with the DMT, dimethyltryptamine, and was essentially testing it on mice in utero and after birth, and found that there were neurogenic benefits to this, that the chemical substance, although clearly a hallucinogen, also promoted the growth of new brain cells. Okay, I'm listening. I'm paying attention. And what they're talking about here, and this looks like it came up just at the beginning of February 2021 here, was looking at this from a pharmaceutical standpoint as a stroke treatment, and basically figuring out that they could somehow find a way to use dimethyltryptamine as a treatment for stroke victims, and that there could be a clinical trial this year. This is potentially huge, right? That this ability for the DMT psychedelic to be tamped down while effectively, I guess, healing stroke damage. This sounds nuts to me But at the same time, it sounds completely plausible. So here's the thing. I said in the beginning of this that I've never used any kind of hard substances in my life. I was an alcoholic for a very long time, 20 years sober now, but I never, ever went anywhere near. I could care less. I did not like the smell of weed and marijuana, cannabis. Never really had any interest in shrooms or ecstasy or LSD or any of it. I just never held any sway for me. That's not to say that I don't see that there is clearly historical precedent for these chemical compounds being used for thousands of years by cultures all over the world for enlightenment, for spiritual purposes. Long before we came up here in our modern society and decided that these things are bad because they can alter your consciousness like alcohol can and like whatever, that they're bad. We don't do it. Okay. I'm open to the idea. And it was interesting because in the conversation with my friend Caleb, he recently went to do one of these sensory deprivation float tank kind of things that you can do. No light, no sound. You're floating on top of salt water, complete darkness, and you can have like an experience, right, and a sensory deprivation kind of thing, and achieve kind of some sort of, calm and peace and therapeutic type of bed. Okay, fine. But it was interesting because he mentioned how there is this concept of the destruction of the ego, and that it's thought that DMT is a potential way to achieve this right, completely strip away the ego, the thing that makes you recoil from negativity or makes you prideful. Your ego is what drives your decision-making skills. So if you are able to achieve a level of complete dispassionate awareness and consciousness, the things that could be achieved, especially like in a therapeutic setting. If you were sitting there with a licensed therapist and you were dosed with this substance so that I guess such as to say the inhibitions are removed, right? You're not limited by your fears, you're not limited by your biases, you're not limited by your arrogance or whatever it happens to be. That there could be a benefit to this. Again, it's all very interesting to me, and I'm not interested in doing it myself. I know my demons. my demons are well documented, and I'm good in that regard. But when you got people out there worrying about licking frogs and and causing the destruction of a species because you insist on licking the frog, there's probably more to be found here. Now, do I go down the path of like a Joe Rogan that talks about DMT elves and that we can see altered states of consciousness? Maybe. Not really. I don't know that that's where I go. Do I think that there's reform needed on a legal basis, right? That we need to stop criminalizing these things because we can't control them or we can't tax them? Yeah, probably. And I think as we move into more use of medical cannabis and we find more that substances like psilocybin and magic mushrooms are used in therapeutical settings, if this DMT is a revelation for stroke victims, this could all be very, very interesting. And again, I welcome any thoughts or experience that you have in this space with this stuff. I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment below and tell me what you know and tell me where I'm wrong. If there's something that I've missed or I've gotten wrong here, I'm certainly willing to hear that from you. All right, so that's it for that. Appreciate you spending a couple minutes of your time with me, and I will look forward to speaking with you next time. I'll see you on the road.